Hello and welcome to another video. This is going to be my May wrap up and kind of my June TBR, but we'll get to that. The lighting's quite bad in here because I left it too late to film with natural light, so this is actually just my bedroom light, which isn't ideal, but never mind. Anyway, in the month of May I managed to read a total of 9 books, which was pretty epic for me. I have been reading more than expected in the last couple of months, but that's been around like 6 or 7 books, so 9 was pretty good going. I didn't have as much on, to be fair, in May than I did in April, and I'm going to in June, but I'll get to that. Anyway, the first book I read was actually a novella, and that was Brothers Ruin by Emma Newman. It's the first in like a series, a new series by her, which is kind of I wouldn't say steampunky, but it has that kind of vibe to it. It's like the 1800s, and they you kind of have people with powers like emerging, but yeah, that's kind of how you describe it. But yeah, it's a gas lamp fantasy. That's what they call it, gas lamp fantasy series, which yeah, it was really interesting. It is quite short because obviously it's a novella, and it felt like very much a setup book for a bigger series, or you know, just the first setup book. So it was quite short, and not, I wouldn't say not a lot happened. Quite a bit did happen, but it just felt somewhat lacking. But I am intrigued enough and I really want to read more, but yeah, I think I was just disappointed that there wasn't more in this one, but it's really good, and I'm definitely going to continue to enjoy the series once she produces more. Then the next book was one of my most anticipated reads for this year. I think it's on pretty much most people's TBR, most people's like completed list for this month, if they're into that series, and of course it is Sarah J Maas, A Court of Wings and Ruin. I really enjoyed this book. It isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I personally loved it for what it was. I won't say much about it because obviously it's the third and final book in this arc, I would say, purely because there are going to be more books set in this world, but for this trilogy that's it. So yeah, it's not perfect, but I still loved it. Absolutely adore the characters, really enjoy Sarah J Maas's writing, specifically in this series. I think having read this one now and the series as a whole, with Mist and Fury still being my favourite, as most people's I believe, I do think it's a stronger series than Throne of Glass, whether that's because Throne of Glass has gone on so long and isn't still complete. I don't know, but I really enjoyed this, and it helps. It's absolutely beautiful as well, and it has inspired me to get like a shed ton of candles and merch related to it, which is terrible. I'm so bad at buying stuff, but yeah. So that was the second book I read. The third book was actually an audiobook that I finished in May, and that is, this is going to glare terribly. Let me see if I can take down the glare of that a bit. Oh, that works a bit better. Just reduce the lighting, Liz. The Mermaid's Daughter by Anne Claycomb. I listened to this on audiobook, which I borrowed from my local library, and I actually really enjoyed it up until like the end. I thought the end was really, it felt rushed and it wasn't the conclusion that I wanted, and it just overall left me with a sort of meh feeling. So yeah, I think I gave this like 2.5, 3 stars maybe. I did discover that I love one of the audiobook narrators, who is Alana Kerr Smith, I think her name is. She narrates the Bone Season books as well, which I'll come on to in a minute. But yeah, I really liked her voice in it. But overall, I really enjoyed the story up to about probably the last few chapters, and then it sort of went downhill quite quickly for me. But never mind. The next book that I read / listened to is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I discovered I've actually had this book since 2013 when it came out. I got it at a book signing, so it's like, it's signed and personalised to me when I met her in 2013, and I haven't picked it up until now because I'm a terrible person. But I really, really enjoyed this book. I'd seen Piera from Piera Ford's channel do a review of it because she got asked to do that by Bloomsbury when the Song Rising, the third book, came out. So I thought, all right, I'll give it a go, and it was available from my library on audiobook, and it was Alana Kerr doing the audiobook, so I started listening to it, and then I got so hooked that I had to start reading it when I couldn't listen to it, and finished it quite quickly. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this series. This is the first book in a 7-book series. She's got a plan for 7 books, and it's basically set in a world where people have powers. They're clairvoyant powers. There's a whole hierarchy of powers, and they're kind of hunted for that reason. But there's other things that happen, and basically, yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but it's a really, really good fantasy series, and I'm very much enjoying the whole series. I'm currently reading the 3rd book, but we'll come on to that. But yeah, highly recommend The Bone Season to anyone who likes fantasy, really. Then the next book that I read was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I am taking part in the Harry Potter readathon for 2017, and this was the first book that I needed to read, and it was really good fun to read it again, actually. I'd forgotten a few things, like I forgot that Hagrid bought Hedwig for Harry as a present for his birthday. I'd completely forgotten that. I thought Harry bought her himself. And yeah, it was just nice to go back and remind myself of how it all began, really. And it's a really easy read. I forgot how thin the first book was. It's like 220 pages. It's like ridiculous, but there's so much in it, and it's really, really well paced considering that. Then the next book I read was The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. Again, signed. Really enjoyed this. 2nd book in the series. Had to move on to it. Again, I kind of did the listen to the audiobook and read it purely because I drive to work every morning, so I get a chance for it's 20 minutes to half an hour depending on traffic, so that's at least an hour a day roughly to listen to it, and then any more time at the gym and stuff I can listen as well. So yeah, I really wanted to get through this, and I did really quickly again because I'm really enjoying the series. But yeah, it's the 2nd book in the series, so I won't go into it, but it's basically a continuation of The Bone Season. Then the penultimate book, it was my most highly anticipated book. There's a few others coming out Court of Rings and Ruin, but this was my most anticipated read, and it is Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. And oh my freaking god, it was amazing. I loved this book so much. The Dark Artifices series, this is the 2nd book in the Dark Artifices series. It follows on from Lady Midnight, which was released last year. I've recently discovered that the 3rd book won't be released next year. It will be released in 2019, and I think my heart is breaking because I need to know what's going to happen next, because oh friggin' hell. Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, this is the 2nd book in the Dark Artifices trilogy, and I just love it. It's fast becoming my favourite Cassandra Clare series. And I love all of Cassandra Clare's stuff, but I think her writing is just getting stronger and stronger with each book, and this was just perfection. I adored every single bit about it. I don't think there is a particularly weak bit or anything in it for me. I enjoyed every word, and yeah, I just want more, so much more. But yeah, so this is very much my favourite book of the year so far. I don't think anything is going to surpass it. And then in the last couple of days of May, I managed to finish Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, again, as part of the Harry Potter readathon. This is my least favourite book, I think. It definitely was, in my memory, the one that I disliked the most. But, having said that, the reread wasn't as bad as I expected. I remember things a lot different, and I think, to be fair, part of that is because I'm not overly fond of the casting of Kenneth Branagh in the movie. Whether that's an unpopular opinion, I have no idea, but that's personally my opinion. I wasn't overly keen on that, so I remembered Gilderoy Lockhart being incredibly annoying, and he is. He very much is. But I actually found myself being more annoyed at Hermione's reaction to him, and her being like, oh no, he's amazing, even when he just went really fucking stupid, and it's obviously stupid, and she still like makes up excuses and stuff. I found that more annoying than actually his stupidity this time around. Whether that's because I'm older now or what, I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't idolise Hermione, because I do. She's amazing. But I'm maybe a little bit more grown up now, so that part kind of annoyed me, because it's like, yeah, okay, he's a stupid adult. They exist, deal with it. But Hermione, I kind of was like, oh, you have more brains than this. But anyway, it was good fun to read it. So yes. So that was my reading for May, which was pretty bloody epic. And then we have June. My TBR for June currently is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which I'm currently reading, and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, because they're the books that I need to read for June for the Harry Potter readathon. Order of the Phoenix, I think, straddles June and July, so I'm going to go with July for that one. And I am listening to and reading The Song Rising, which is the third book in the Bone Season series. But I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks. So from the 14th to the 28th of June, I will be on holiday. And I'm going with my dad to New York and Philadelphia. We're splitting the time between the two, and I don't know how much time I'm going to have to read. Ideally, I'd love to say, yeah, I've got a 7-hour flight, I'm going to read for 7 hours. I'm going to get distracted by movies. I know that for a fact. If there's anything like Star Wars or Avengers or anything like that on, I'm just going to stick that on. Let's be fair. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up spending 7 hours watching films, because I'm like that. I'm weak like that. But I will try to read some, but I'm going to put nothing on my TBR other than the Harry Potter books and The Song Rising. So that is my TBR for June. Because I know if I put more on and I don't get to read them, I'm going to beat myself up about it. Whereas if I manage to read the 2 Harry Potter books and The Song Rising, I know it's only 3 books, but I did 9 in May, so I think I can cut myself a little bit of slack, considering I'm going on holiday for 2 weeks. And then July is just a shitstorm of stuff to do, but I'm not thinking about that right now. So yeah, basically, my TBR for June is the 2 Harry Potter books and The Song Rising, and that's it. So yes, this has been my May wrap-up and my June TBR. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!